you ready? All right. Guys, help me welcome. We got the co-showrunner here, Oren Uziel.
Yeah.
Uziel, right? There we go. We also got Lamorne Morris. And Jack Huston. He plays Flint Marco. Let's hear it. Hello. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Nice.
First of all, incredible job. It is great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Grove. Look, I want to jump right into this because Nick Cage, we've already heard him is Spider-Noir and Into the Spider-Verse, but this is not connected to Into the Spider-Verse, but he still brings that same noir energy. When you and Steve Lightfoot were developing this show, can you talk about just bringing that energy and that spirit of Spider-Noir to the screen?
Sure. I mean, we knew that he already was comfortable with the character.
Sorry.
So he's looking like a little boy.
They got him.
He's got a little legs. He has to go to the front.
You want to trade? You want to trade?
I'll do it.
You want to trade?
No. Right now we got
swinging like Kevin Hart.
Nick, noir, energy. Nick loves comic books and he loves Spider-Man, but he loves film noir just as much. So the first time I sat down with him, we just kind of nerded out back and forth, talking about all our references, and I couldn't keep up with him. And so making the show with him and making this character with him, like he's the only guy in the world who could have done it and could have done it the way he did it. So like you're saying in episode 6, things get weirder and weirder the deeper we get into the show, and it was all because of Nick is kind of genius.
Like, I love that episode 6. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does remind me, I think I told you guys last night, it reminds me of a Universal, like, classic monster movie. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. We can't say nothing about it yet.
Yeah, just wait. Trust me, it's worth the wait. Lamorne, for you, Robbie is somebody that is trying to bring truth to light through journalism. And he's a hero in his own right. What does heroism mean to Robbie? And did you were you inspired by any real life journalists to get into the role?
Yeah, I think being equipped with information or being the person that can relay the truth is his idea of heroism. Also, holding up to your end of the bargain.
Sure.
Now, sure, Ben didn't ask for these abilities, but he has them, and the people need them, especially during this time, post-war, Great Depression. People are kind of going through it, and so the bad guys can take advantage from time to time. And if you have the ability to swing from building to building, damn it, swing from building to building.
Yeah.
Do some stuff. And as a regular person, if you have the ability to help your neighbor out with something, take out the trash for an old lady, to do what you got to do. That's it's never too small to be a hero. And I feel like that's what I believe, but that's also what Robbie believes. And upon doing research on this character, the comic books give you some information about Robbie. The Raimi films give you a little bit about Robbie. But upon doing research, I just on journalism back in the day, I found this guy named Ted Poston. They call him the dean of black journalism. And he broke down so many barriers, so many walls, uncovered so many truths about what was happening in New York City, and that was especially hard to do when he wasn't given access to certain establishments. A lot of film establishments, he couldn't actually get in and talk to these people, so he had to do a lot of sneaky shit, and in order to arm the people with information. So Ted Poston, I actually believe this. I've said this before in past interviews. I don't know where the inspiration for Robbie came from, but I think it came from Ted Poston.
Really?
So if you just look at the guy, and I base a lot of my character on Ted. The cigarettes, his energy, even the haircut I have is a little bit Ted Poston-y in the show. So I definitely found inspiration in him. Is again, when Robbie is you're given so much from the character, but when you're given the opportunity to add your own stuff to it, I decided to add a little flavor from somebody who people probably don't know that much about, and maybe add some light to his legacy as well.
I love that. Great answer. Jack, I want to talk about the fight scene in episode 1. because you have that standoff with Nick Cage, but Flint says this line, he says, despite what I do for a living, I don't really enjoy hurting people. That tells you so much about him right there. What did that line help you understand about the character?
Jack actually based his character on the actual real Sandman.
Yes, exactly. You had to go really far back to ancient Egypt. It's so interesting you bring up that line because I always think, appearances can be deceiving. Like, don't judge a book by its cover. And I think I'm usually fairly intrigued by a character that doesn't seem to be what it sort of states on the tin. Flint was such a sort of tragic anti-hero. Something I keep saying is, good people can do bad things in desperate situations. And I think that sort of goes for a lot of the characters in this, and the internal struggle that these people are going through. Like Lamorne was just saying, you're dealing with post-war, Great Depression. It was a rough time, and these guys had come back to nothing, and they didn't have the pot to piss in. So it's that. But the great thing was that was my first week on the set was that fight scene with Nick, and it was just a week of beating the shit out of each other. and I'm like coming to work like an old man, and Nick's like, let's do it again, okay, cool. And you're like, wow, like he has the energy like nobody you've ever met, and off camera, we were talking about every film, every sort of music cue, and he'd sort of grill you on your knowledge, and he's like an encyclopedia. It's so much fun to really get to it. You realize just what a fan he is, and then the energy to come with that. My first week was the best first week of filming anything of all time. It's like you're playing obviously a hero with this beautiful script or scripts that we managed to sort of take on the set. We're making this, and it was just the best. So yeah, that was a good time. It's like it hurt, but it was good.
All it takes to have that kind of energy is to eat 2 whole chickens a day and 700 caffeine-infused energy drinks.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like my diet. Out of curiosity for you guys, how many of you, is this your first time watching like a film noir style thing? A handful of you. So one thing that I hope happens, I hope this younger generation starts discovering these classic films like Maltese Falcon, which your grandfather, Jack, directed.
Yep.
Which is quite full circle.
It started the genre.
Yes, started the genre.
Started it.
So are you hoping that younger fans and newer generations kind of pick up on these classics, like these old school noir films?
No.
Actually, because we can mine them for more stories.
Yeah, no.
They'll think we made up.
Look how creative we are.
Never done.
But the only thing I would say to disagree with that is young, old alike.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know noir because it's now pushing 100 years old. A lot of these movies, but they feel. I think the thing to know if you are inspired to go watch, they feel incredibly modern. If you're watching Double Indemnity or things like that, the pace and the language, it doesn't feel like a movie from a long time ago. It feels very, very fresh.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to ask you about, I love the dialogue in this. It's sharp, it's quick, it has that transatlantic accent. I love hearing that. It's like a throwback. But I want to ask about the first table read. When you guys are all sitting around, do you guys have those accents? Did you guys bring those to the table, or did you guys find those on set?
Did we do table read before we started? With me and Abraham, or did Abraham and I? I think Abraham and I started filming before the table.
Yeah, before table read.
So we had to shoot some stuff before the table read, months in advance. They fucked me. They really did. And I'm okay with it. We all like to be. Anyway,
I hate those guys too.
Yeah. I mean, I was working on something, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're going to shoot 4 months in advance. Hope you're ready." So I was working on that dialect, in overtime, in overdrive before, like way before. So when it got down to the table read, I was more so curious to see what everyone else was going to do, because I had a thing that we had already shot, and I was like, is it going to work? I hadn't heard what Nick was going to do, and that was my main concern.
Sure.
It blew me away. Everybody sounded fantastic.
It was the best table read I've ever been
Yeah.
to. I have to say. It was incredible.
I was gonna say Karen came in. And,
Yeah. Not
Karen Rodriguez.
Karen Rodriguez, who plays Janet.
Oh my God. She came in like a week's notice or something and got in that day over the
Like
table.
an hour's notice. She was at, like, she had to get in the cab and go to the airport and barely made her flight to make the table read.
Yeah, and crushed it. I was like, she sat right next to me, and I just met her. As soon as she started reading, I just went,
Oh no, they were, and Nick, you know, like came fully in character as well. So like that was like it's great when the you sort of realize the bar is like all the way up here before you even started. And I think that sort of actually we all walked out of that table read, and there was like a certain amount of like, oh shit, this is really good, and we also have to really raise our game because. We didn't think it was going to be at that level right straight off the bat. You know, we knew we were working on some great material. And I was just thinking, I remember, like, then I realized that all the bad guys that we all have Abraham's down here as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm here. And then Dirk, who's going to come later, is like, hey, right there. And every one of us is like these crazy voices, like from the 19th century. All serious smokers.
a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah, a lot of cigarettes.
Nick memorized every script before the table read, so he had the whole thing down.
Yeah.
And he had already done, when we met and had lunch at the smokehouse in Burbank, and he's like, I'm gonna do this scene like Edward G. Robinson. He just did the scene at the restaurant. I was like, this is gonna be fucking amazing.
I can imagine. Now, watching the color version, I think in the black and white version, you don't really get an appreciation for especially your wardrobe. Your wardrobe is incredible. But I love how the colors pop in that. But speaking of wardrobe for both of you, is there either a piece of wardrobe, whether it be a suit, a hat, a coat, or anything that helps you get into character?
Yeah, for me, it was a couple of things. It was a hat, but it was also a prop. It was the cigarette. Like that definitely helped me. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and there was a lot of like older cats. When they smoked, they walk differently. Like they just, I don't know why. It was just like they'd be one way, and the cigarette would come out, and all of a sudden it was like, let me tell you something, little motherfucker. The cigarette turns you into somebody else. All of a sudden, I must respect you. So it gave me a whole energy, and I think that's true to every character I play is not done until I'm on set, and a part of that is what props am I given, what wardrobe am I given. You know, the suit was fairly tight, so my posture is normally, I normally walk like this, but in this show I had to kind of, you know, the suit made me do that, you know, it really did, and so yeah, I feel like just the hat itself was a sign of respect. You take it off, you know, you put it down, you put it on whenever you leave the house. It gave me a ritualistic thing to do. I think there's an episode where you see him picking out tie, and he's got the cufflinks and got all these things, but I think at the end of the day, grab the hat, put it on, that kind of caps it for me.
It's funny, that scene in episode 2 with Whitney, which we shot early.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that you do with the cigarette, and like you assume a sort of dominant position because of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, that was one of those scenes that we shot before, like months before, and I wish I could take it back. I wish I could. There's so many other choices that I would have made, you know what I mean? As a performer, no disrespect. Just, I want to go back and do some other shit with it.
Tracy G.T. Fields, who was our costume designer, we big shout out to her because she was also finding colors that you just don't see in today's world.
Yeah.
Like, you know, back then, it's amazing. You'll find like that orange suit of yours. And I remember she was also being very smart about matching colors for characters and like how they relate to each other. So sometimes if me and Lily were in a scene together, there was something about us that was sort of matching, and she was thinking very much about that. I was thinking like, but we'll get me into character. They gave me huge shoulder pads, massive lifts, because I'm meant to be like 6'7" or something. I don't know what I'm meant to be, but it was, you know, a bigger person. And then I just growl, do something like this. And I think after we were doing a photo shoot, I was next to Oren, and they were like, you know, I was getting a photo, and then he just told me, like, did you just growl? And I was like, I'm sorry, it's what I do when I'm really sad. It was going into it. That was the
Jesus
growl.
growls, sir.
Jesus growl.
We
No
just
photo shoot?
It was just an opinion.
Random photo shoot.
we just watched the first 2 episodes, and they're directed by Harry Bradbeer. He's absolutely incredible. Lamorne, you had some great stories yesterday about him. But on the creative side, Oren, I wanted to ask you, talk about the process of working with him, and for you guys as actors, talk about the process of him helping kind of get the characters out of you guys.
I mean, he's extremely collaborative. So he came in from day one, which kind of I talked about everything that what the show's DNA was, what we were trying to do. He wrapped his brain around it. He got on board. He loves actors, and so it's a very comfortable set. Those first 2 episodes.
Yeah, he's great. I worked with an actress who was in the show Fleabag, Sean Clifford, and she is, when I say, one of the best actors I've ever seen. I told her I was going to work with Harry, and she was just like, "You're going to love him. He's the best," and he was. He was one of the nicest for having so much prestige behind his name and acclaim. He was just so collaborative, just like you said. He was so cool. But I think he's so funny. He's so funny in how he gives a note. I don't know if I should do it.
Yeah, we got to see it.
That was a good impression of Harry.
This is how he would give a note. So just bear with me for a second. Like, imagine you're here doing a scene. What's your name, sir?
Robert.
Robert? Imagine, Robert, you're doing a scene. You're sitting here talking with Oren, and then they yell cut, and then out of nowhere, like, he would just kind of be like, he would just be. Okay. Lord, slow it down. Okay. And he would just disappear into the shadows. Like, and there are other times when you have a note, he would just pop up from a different location. Every time with this man would
Under
be
your
in
chest.
Harry.
Perfect impersonation. I'm not joking, it's like literally it.
I'd be like, just come in. I mean, I would see him in Video Village with his head peeking out. Like, he wants to say something. I'm like, just come on out. It's okay, you can tell me.
Lamorne, I read that you tried to get Nick Cage to laugh on set, but I wanted to ask you what you tried to do, but I also wanted to ask you about finding that rhythm with him.
Yeah, finding the rhythm with him was not hard. I put this whole thing in my head before meeting him because he's so, it's fucking Nick Cage. So I was so nervous about it. My buddy Kyle up there, my writing partner, we do a show together. He's the biggest Nick Cage fan, so he was part of the reason why I was so afraid. He's like, he's a cinephile. So please do. He's intense. So, but when you meet him, he's just the coolest dude. He'll talk about anything. He knows about everything. He's like you said, he's an encyclopedia. And so for me, we had a meeting earlier where we kind of just wanted to break the ice a little bit and just have a little chit chat about story. And it was that moment where I realized I was in good hands. Like he's so, like you said, he's off book with everything. So he knows more about your character than you do. And I remember there was a moment him and I were talking one day, one of us filming, and he started telling me, he was asking me about a reference from episode 7. And at the time, I had only gotten episodes 1 through 4 from the studio. And I thought, I know they're tight-lipped about these things, but damn, I'm in the show. You might want to let me know what's happening. And he looked at me, I said, honestly, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And he was just like, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't have the episodes. Why do you not have the episodes? So I was like, we gotta ask Oren. And he was like, well, anyway, and he starts quoting a line verbatim of my character. And we just, from that moment on, we just started having this cool back and forth. So it wasn't very hard. You know what I mean? I feel like he's very self-aware. He knows he's Nick Cage. He knows people are around him. They're probably walking on eggshells and they're probably nervous. So he likes to break the ice with people, and he's so chill. Yeah.
I love that. Now, there's so many fantastic actors in this show, and it must have been a who's who being on set and watching acting class live in person. Can you talk about the vibe that you guys got on set and just working with all of these amazing actors?
It was, yeah, amazing.
Tell us more, Jack.
Well, I'm right there. It's one of those shows where I always say there's an old quote of my grandfather's going back to the Maltese Falcon where he said 90% of making anything is casting, and that's a huge compliment when you are cast in something which you do consider to be, very good. And in this case, I thought it was not just good, it was excellent, and it all comes from script. And when we got on set and when we did do that table read, but there were moments where you were in a scene and there were multiple characters. It's Brendan Gleeson, it's Nick, it's Abraham, it's Lamorne, it's Karen, it's every single one, Lily obviously, and you can find yourself very easily becoming an audience member and just watching as it's going on, and then you just completely forget that you're actually part of the scene, and you say, oh shit, I'm going to do something here. Usually I just have to groan. But it was an amazing experience because I loved each one of them sort of individually, but actually to be in scenes, and we were also on the backlots of Universal, of Warner Brothers, of what was the old MGM, which is Sony now, and these are the places where our main set soundstage was where they shot The Wizard of Oz. So you're like walking around these little roads doing a noir and Spider in the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man, this 1930s, and you think, oh, the ghosts of all of these amazing actors have walked the same path into this same soundstage and sort of maybe did something kind of similar to what we were doing. So it felt like something really beautiful was happening. And each one of the actors felt incredibly lucky. And that's a rare thing. But by the way, we feel lucky all the time, but I'm saying, when I say lucky, it's like a different kind of luck. This was one of those rare, unique opportunities that we were given, and it felt like we were given a sliver of another life, and yet we were all here and we were part of it, and it's why we all sort of became so close, actually, and Oren being sort of at the helm of this, and it didn't feel like anyone's above, anyone's below. Everybody came to it at a level playing field and took it very seriously. So it was one of the most charming experiences you could have from a cast, crew across the board. Everybody was like, this is great, right? This is like the coolest thing in the world. So
it shows on screen.
Yeah.
It shows on screen.
Yeah.
There's this great quote from Federico Fellini. He says, actors become the role in the makeup chair. For the both of you, when does that transformation start for the both of you?
It's not the makeup chair for me, just because I've had some makeup artists really fuck my face up. Well, this ain't the character I was willing to do. All right, we'll do it. No, I'm kidding. They're all so great. But for me, you said when does it become like?
Like when do you start getting into the character before you get on set?
It's wardrobe.
Wardrobe.
Right? When I put the wardrobe on, I'm in my trailer as the character. It kind of caps it off. But I would say it's hard to say even before you get on set, because once you get on set, there's a whole new world that's opened up. Background actors are dressed like you feel like you're there. Sure. They're all in it. They're all in character. They're all the cars. I was on a show. I was on a show New Girl for 7 years. We had one of our wardrobe folks, Joey Perla. Joey Perla he's the cutest. He used to wear, it didn't matter, like whatever scene we were in, he was scene appropriate. So one time we shot on the Queen Mary, and he was dressed like a little sailor. So in a show like that, Joey's like, I'm gonna make sure you stay in character. He's like, I'm a little sailor boy. So we're like, oh, we are on a boat. So sometimes they go above and beyond. So I would say when you get on set, that's kind of fully when you, and then even further when you're opposite your scene partner, you take whatever you had, whatever you planned on doing, sometimes goes out of the window. Sure. Because there's status there, you're rocking and rolling with someone like Nick. Let's say Nick all of a sudden wanted to go here with it. I gotta pivot, you know what I mean? I gotta pivot to make to fit that puzzle piece, and to make it blend, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
To see the creator's vision as best as we can. So for me, yeah, the trailer, the wardrobe, but like once I lock eyes with my scene partner, I have to learn how to be nimble. you
Sure.
know? Yeah.
Oren, for you, fans are really excited for the authentic black and white, but also the true hue full color is incredible as well. But from your side, can you talk about crafting a show that lives in both both formats, giving viewers a completely different experience watching either one?
It was really hard.
I can imagine.
But we decided to make the decision to do it in prep, which allowed us, when you shoot in black and white, there are certain things you do because if you're gonna have red lipstick, it won't look right in black and white.
Sure.
It'll look black, it's gonna look strange, so you end up having green lipstick, and that's great. When you're doing it both at the same time, it put a lot of strain on every department and to test everything. So we gave everyone a camera and gave everyone sort of the instruction of how to shoot, so it was like, they would see this texture is gonna look this way in black and white, this way in our color palette. This paint chip is gonna look this way. So it was a lot of testing to get it there and a lot of work in post. But the experience at the end is radically different, and I don't think I really expected it to matter that much. So I love the black and white. I'm excited to watch in black and white, but I'm equally in love with the color, and I really do think you should give it a shot too. It's the black and white is moodier.
Yeah.
The color is a little maybe lighter on its feet. It's just that one has got that, it is infused the aesthetic of film noir and German expressionism and hard lighting. The other one just feels a little poppier, a
Yeah.
little more comic book, but it's still noir. So it's a very interesting experience, and I encourage you to check it out.
Yeah, I hadn't had an experience like that in quite a while, watching the same show in two different formats and getting two completely different experiences.
No one's done that before because it's dumb.
It's incredible. It's incredible. For you guys, as actors, did it change the way that you thought about a scene because one was going to be in black and white, was going to be in color? Did it change your approach at all?
Not at all. I didn't even think. I think when we started, I think we only thought it was going to be in black and white. We were really happy when we heard there would be color because of just the incredible set design and costume and make everything that was put into it. It sounded really cool. It's an interesting one because my 13-year-old came to the premiere the other day, and I was also with an older person in my party who came along, and my 13-year-old preferred the black and white, and the older person, who was much more of a noir fan, thought the color was the standout for them. So, it's interesting. I would, if you can, it's asking a lot, but it's really worth it because I did it. Try to watch it, if you can, in one way, like black and white, and then go back and watch it in color, because I think mixing it up, you can totally do that, and it's awesome, as you can see, but it is like watching another show. Like, it didn't feel like that to me. Like, when I watched it black and white and I went back to color, I was like, oh, this is entirely new, and it just, things just, they played different. It's like the way they spoke, the way they looked, the way they, gelled, it was something different.
Oh yeah, 100%. You won't understand the reference, but maybe some of you. It's like watching Friends, and then going to watch Living Single right after. The same show.
It's the same show.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but for me, it wasn't like there wasn't like a. To start, I thought like, oh man, I gotta act black and white. You know what I mean? I don't act like that. but once you get there, and once you have the corral with the directors, showrunners, they kind of have you in pocket a little bit. We did a scene earlier on with Whitney, and I remember hearing Brad Beard coming out. I don't know which, probably came from the ceiling at that point. And he was just like, it's not a parody. Okay. And he goes away, but that note let me know everything. Because when you're doing it, maybe you're a little too amped up. Maybe you're playing too much into the noir, and he just, with one note, let me know, like, yo, chill the fuck out. Like, bring it back, brother. And so I was like, oh, I understand now,
The other cool thing is if you watch the whole season in black and white, and then watch the whole season in color, you're a lot more likely to get a season 2.
Well, on that note, I feel like that is the perfect way to sign off. This is going to be premiering tomorrow on Prime Video. Who's going to be watching it? watch it all in black and white, watch it right after, right? All in color, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But first of all, I have an announcement though. We're gonna let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Can you guys stay seated so we can get them out?
Yeah.
And also to let you guys know, we're gonna keep the step and repeat up so you guys can do photos and everything else. Let's hear it for them. Thank you guys so much for joining us.